Hi everybody, it's Martin here from Branco Customs. I've got a treat for you today. In this video, got a build along of a beautiful Japanese chef knife.
Here's a quick look at what we're going to end up with. Here I start to lay out the template onto a piece of N690 stainless steel. This stainless steel is very similar to another stainless called VG10, which is extremely popular in Japanese chef knife creation. I've dyed the steel blue so that you can see the scratch pattern as I trace the template. I then use an angle grinder with ultra thin cut-off discs in order to cut off the bulk of the excess material. I then take the blade blank over to the 2x72 bench grinder in order to tidy up all those profile edges. I then use the same grinder but with a flat blade grinding jig in order to start grinding the main bevels on either side. The blade then gets wrapped in a batch process with other knives into a stainless steel environment where it's free from oxygen. The blade's then heated up over a series of different stages up to 1050 degrees centigrade. Once that's done, it's plate quenched with air and then tempered for 2 lots of 2 hours at 250 degrees. I then went back over every surface of the blade, freshly ground it, cleaned it, and polished it to its final look. It was then necessary to make some minute adjustments so that the blade, when it flows into the handle, will leave no gaps between the tang and the bolster. I then use a small cut-off disc on a Dremel in order to add a few notches which will harbour the glue and allow great adhesion into the handle. Once the blade's all cleaned up, I then add my logo using a little stencil and a saltwater electrical etch. I then start to mill a fine slot into a piece of black micarta. This will end up forming the front bolster of the knife, where the tang will slide seamlessly through it and ideally be a perfect fit. A little bit of filing is required in order to square off the rounded edges of the slot. This next part I've achieved in a fairly unconventional way. What I'm trying to do here is make effectively a wooden rule plug which the tang of the knife will slide into, and then this cylindrical rule plug will then slide into a large sort of 13mm diameter hole in the handle of the knife. However, I had a lathe handy which wasn't really that great for woodworking, as it was a miniature metal lathe, so I created my own method, shall we say, for creating a cylinder from a piece of wood without having a piece of ready-made dowel to hand. I don't advise anyone to try this at home, ever. This is definitely one of those do as I say, not as I do kind of tutorials. I do a quick assembly of all the component parts to make sure everything fits together as required, before then doing a glue up with G-Flex epoxy. Having left everything overnight for the glue to harden whilst being bound up like a mummy so nothing moved anywhere, I then flatten off all the uneven parts of the handle and start to do the final handle shaping. I then use a special jig in order to sharpen the knife on my bench grinder. This jig holds the blade at the precise angle to put a nice even bevel. I then strop the blade on a piece of leather using auto sol as a fine abrasive. My client for this knife was a dear friend of my family. he commissioned it as a gift for his eldest son. Unfortunately, he passed after the knife was completed, but before it was able to be delivered. And I sincerely hope that this knife will be a lasting symbol of Bryn and the love that he has for all of his wonderful family.